What's up, everybody? We're back.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to a Metalheads journey. Listen, I know it feels like we've been gone for a million years, even though we recorded a bunch of videos like 3 weeks ago and only one has come out since then. But it's okay. We had to go on another little small vacation, but we're back. And Dave doesn't know this yet, but he's committed to putting out a video a day for like the next 7 days in a row because we got work in the can here. Okay. But hey, let's move past that and let's get on to what we're here for today. We have made it back around. If you guys haven't been following along with us, we are working through 4 lists simultaneously. We got the top 20 rock albums of all time, top 20 hair metal albums of all time, top 20 new metal records of all time, and the top 5 records of the big 4 of prog metal. So
Josh, we actually have a 5th list that you decided to forget. We have the time machine.
Well, true. We have the Metal Time Machine that started not at the same time. I was just talking about the ones that started at the same time. Dave.
Right.
But we are also working through a Metal Time Machine, which that'll be one of the videos posted. It's like going back in a time machine 6 weeks ago when we did the show, where we talked about Accept's landmark record, "Blood of the Nations." But
I forgot that video didn't come out. Yeah, it's good. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah. But we're saying all that to say we're back to the top 20 rock album lists of all time. We have made it into the top 10. Okay. We are here today.
Doesn't feel like
it. Yeah. There's probably a album cover here that letting you know what this is. Plus, you probably clicked on it and saw the thumbnail. But This is the Rolling Stones with Exile on Main Street. Number 10 rock album of all time. We'll get into a quick history of the band and the album here and get right into it. The Rolling Stones, formed in 1962, are an English rock band from London. Active across 7 decades, they are one of the most popular and enduring bands of the rock era. Rooted in blues and early rock and roll, the Stones started out playing covers and were at the forefront of the British invasion. The band has released 31 studio albums, including their most recent album, Hackney Diamonds, released in 2023. They've sold over 250 million records worldwide. They've won 3 Grammys and a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. They were also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989. Exile on Main Street, released in 1972, is the band's 10th studio album and the band's first double album. This album is generally regarded as the band's best record. The band continued a back-to-basics approach from their previous record, Sticky Fingers. This album exhibited a wider range, though, of influences in blues, rock and roll, swing, country, and gospel. Rolling Stone magazine has this listed as their 14th best record of all time as of the 2020 edition of that list. Previously, in the other 2 lists, it was number 7, so something knocked it down 7 spots. I didn't take the time to go look. My apologies.
Yeah.
The album was greeted with mixed reviews initially, but was generally loved by the end of the 70s. In 2012, this album was inducted into the Grammys Hall of Fame, marking the band's 4th album to receive that honor. So, I think we'll just start here with a general message from the top, and I hope I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, but. Look, if you're hoping to hear us speak well of this record, turn it off right now. We're not gonna bash the record here, but ultimately, I think I think you're gonna leave watching this video with the understanding of this album just wasn't for us. I'll speak for myself here. The overall feel of the record is pretty cool. I think it is definitely better than the other record that we did on this list from them, which is Let It Bleed. Definitely better production, and I think definitely some better songwriting. My problem ultimately is did we need a double record? Did we need this to be 18 songs? And did we need the first 16 songs to pretty much sound identical? Almost all the way through. I mean, I get it. We're also doing a prog metal list, so maybe we should be used to, an hour's worth of music sounding exactly the same and sounding like one track. But
I don't know why the shade needed to be thrown there. I was going to be civil on this review, per your direction, but you're leaning me towards being unprofessional.
I feel like if you're being defensive, then you know it's true. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately that's just my problem. Is like there's just not like it kind of goes back to the same criticism as Let It Bleed. Is I want something more guitar driven, more riff driven. And again, like we've heard, like there are other more popular Rolling Stones tracks out there that are guitar driven and a lot more rock and roll. Whereas this, as you kind of heard in the history, there has everything that I listed there: blues, rock and roll, swing, country, gospel, which I think makes for like if I'm at a bar or if I'm hanging out with some friends and I turn this on in the background, super cool, man. I think it's got that vibe to it that you can drink and have a good time. But ultimately, you know, while I do have some top tracks because that is the job that we are tasked to do here, I would not pick any of these to be top tracks. You know, if I was just doing this for leisure. What do you think, Dave?
I will do my best to you know to try and be a little bit how do I word it? Constructive. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And I will say again off the top, I think this solidifies. And Josh, I'm not trying to completely restate what you said, so I'll take it a step further. I think what this ultimately tells me is that I just think I'm not a Rolling Stones fan. Like,
now, Dave, do you think you can actually say that when there are 29 other records out there that you haven't heard yet?
So I guess okay, when you put it
I'm
like
just
that,
joking. By the way, I just wanted to say the fact that there's 31 records.
Yeah, I mean, look, when hey, look, and I'm sure there's a potential, even if they don't put a comment in there, somebody may watch this down the road, and they may think to themselves that same question, like, hey, how can this guy say that when they've got 30 other records to listen to?
If you have made it this far, and you know that we're into hard rock, heavy metal, guitar driven, give us the Stones record that has that.
Yeah.
Put it in the comments. We'll revisit it.
I feel like
at the very least, just to piggyback off of that real quick, at the very least, because they have such a wide discography, by law of probability, there's enough songs in their catalog probably where you could put together like a greatest hits that we probably would really enjoy. But the question is, do they have an entire album that would fit that bill?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately for me, just as far as my listening experience with this record, Josh, I think you nailed it. I think this was one of those things where I put it on with the intention of like really focusing on it, as I do with every review that we have. The problem is that this ended up just becoming background music for me because there was like just nothing for my personal taste to gravitate to. Like there was never a moment where I was like I had to pause and stop and like look, as Jason says at some points, where he's like, oh, what is this song? Like that never really happened for me. In fact, I listened to it a few times and I would like look and realize, oh, I'm like 7 songs in. I don't even really remember what I just listened to because it all just kind of mushed together. For me, this is like rock and roll baloney. You just don't really know what it is. Dude, it is meat.
What a great name for an album.
It's meat of some kind, and it's a little bit of everything. And if you like baloney, you probably like this record.
It's not true. I like baloney.
I was going to say, I disagree. I love baloney, and I share basically all the same sentiments that have been described thus far. And spoiler alert, so does Jason. I'm going to read his thoughts in just a minute.
I was going to say, does he have anything different?
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah, I think I'm comfortable saying that I've heard enough Rolling Stones over the years, maybe not entire albums worth, but like, I remember I listened to a few Stones albums on vinyl when I was a kid because my parents had Stones albums and a record player.
And all the hits that come up on the radio.
Exactly. And And yeah, I don't think I'm a Stones fan. Like, I recognize and appreciate and respect their legacy and, you know, impact that they've had over the years. It's just not for me. You know, the funny thing about this album for me is I don't think any of the songs, with the exception of maybe a couple, are like bad, but they suffer from that kind of sameness that we've already described, and that made for not necessarily enjoyable listening experience all the way through. Another thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is a lot of the tracks, because of the nature of like blues and gospel and southern rock. The songs are very like jam session sounding rather than being like a crafted song from start to finish, structured. Yeah, exactly. And I think those kind of songs are good, like sandwiched in between more structured tracks on an album. But that's like just the whole album in this case, with a couple of exceptions. And those are the tracks that I tended to gravitate towards more anyway. It's very long. That was difficult, and that hurts it quite a bit.
It's very long, even though I think it feels longer than it really is, because we've reviewed albums that are, like, from a minute standpoint, are significantly longer.
Yes.
Tell me about
it. But this album feels like, you know, it feels like 18 tracks. Like,
yes, it does. And you know, I don't think it's the same thing, because I've said this a lot before on the new metal and hair metal list. But you know, it for its time, I'm sure the impact was bigger. But you know, when you've got 40 years of music in front of it that I like better, I don't think it quite holds up or stands the test of time as strongly, for my personal taste at least. So again, we've all just kind of been harping on the same thing. I'm going to real quick read Jason's thoughts verbatim as he requested. So his thoughts. Full transparency. I've never been one to understand the appeal of the Rolling Stones. Now, to be abundantly clear, I've never owned a single album or listened to a whole album start to finish, so I went into this eyes wide open, giving it the benefit of the doubt. And I have to say, after spending a month with it, it's quite clear. I still don't understand the appeal. It did nothing for me. In fact, I was shocked that none of the top downloads on Spotify are not on this album. How it made the top 10 as an album is beyond me. So that's right. Jason.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm kind of shocked as well that this, like, because like,
this is regarded as their best record.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Anyway, like, I realize that, you know, everything is subjective in the space that we operate in, right? But like, I just feel like there are so many other bands that do this better. Maybe they don't do all of the things that Rolling Stones does, right? But maybe I think part of the reason why I don't like them is because they, you know, to Josh, you know, we talked about this record, they're trying to do too much. They're trying to appeal to so many, and maybe they just have a really eclectic tastes amongst themselves, which is fine. But like, when you're I just like, the record, just to me, like, I don't get it. It doesn't lack any focus. It lacks focus to me. It just, again, sounds like Jonah said, it sounds like a jam session. And maybe if I was in the 60s and on drugs and in the audience, obviously that's a completely different vibe, right?
Yes, absolutely. There are certain bands, and I think this is probably almost definitely one of them, where the album is kind of just to build your appetite for seeing them live. Especially, you know, back in the 60s and 70s, like, live music was the way you experience bands primarily, I feel like. And the album, depending on the band, obviously, the album was there to kind of keep interest, maybe, I don't know.
And to get some radio play.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, this is definitely one of those bands where the live experience almost definitely fully overshadows the album listening experience for me.
What did Jason have as his MVP? Or who?
He didn't give details, but he's got Keith Richards and Mick Taylor for obvious reasons. You know, the being that it is bluesy and you know, southern rock. The guitar is going to be like the primary musical focus as far as instrumentation is concerned. And I'll go ahead and agree with him. It's going to be those two guys for that reason.
Dave, what you got?
Yeah, I'm trying to look for his name, but mine is, okay, it's I'm gonna go with the producer.
Jimmy Miller, yeah.
Yep. I'm going with the producer.
That's who I went with.
Yeah. I think the production on this album is the best part of it. I think it sounds really good, especially for the record of its age. And like obviously we might be listening to some, you know, remastered or, you know, whatever version, which is what it's fine. I mean, it still had to be recorded well initially anyway. I think the record sounds really good.
Yeah, which is actually pretty crazy because they recorded this like in the basement of Keith Richards' house, which was not like a proper studio, so they had to use like a mobile studio
like
for a lot of this too.
Like I compare this to some of like the 80s like less prominent like thrash metal bands like albums that I've jammed in the past.
Like the first Megadeth record,
or like yeah, I mean like the album we did, Violence. Like this has better production than a lot of those like 80s records do. It's just unfortunate that that's where my glowing review ends.
Yeah. All right. Album title, album cover here. So album title, Exile on Main Street. So it kind of comes from they were forced to leave the UK due to some tax issues. And so they're tax exiles, and so they moved from the UK to France. So that's kind of where that comes from. And then Main Street seems to kind of tie in with just like Main Street anywhere in the world, kind of being in your face, but also something tied to mainlining, like heroin as a possibility. Like that's some stuff I found for it. And then the album cover is basically just a picture of a wall and a tattoo parlor that they thought was cool. And so they hired some guy to create the cover, and he just did that. So, yeah. Look, for the album title, Exile on Main Street, I think it's a cool title. I like it. I mean, you know, for the meaning of it, whatever, it's not like super fucking metal or anything like that. But I'm gonna go with a 5 for the title. For the album cover, I'm going 0. Like what a pile of crap for the album cover. I'm sorry.
It's just a big old nothing burger.
Yeah.
Look, dude, nobody's gonna.
I had a 1 there, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go 0 because it's worse than that.
Nobody's gonna listen to this, but this album cover, it fucking sucks. Like, it does.
This is acceptable.
Yeah, it does.
This sucks. Yeah.
I like literally just don't understand. Now that you explained to me that it's literally just a random picture, honestly, that makes it make more sense. But I hate it. It's also a 1. I didn't know 0 was an option. The album title, again, I wish I didn't know what it was really about because I thought it was cooler before I learned just now what it is based on. My original score was a 5. I'm gonna drop it down to a 4 because I think they literally just pulled this out of nowhere. I think it has no, and also I know we don't rate this. The font, like you can barely tell it says Rolling Stones.
It probably works better on print, like the actual like vinyl cover.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. I totally agree with you, Jonah. That doesn't make me like it more. It looks terrible. Yeah.
That's all right. I'll give you Jason's real quick. So for the cover, he gave it a 5. He says it's just a collage of oddity photos, so he didn't really care one way or the other. For the title, he's giving it a 2. It's just a title, not even a track. Much like Dave said, it's like nothing. It's whatever. I'm pretty whatever on the cover myself. It's not. It's a little bit less than just fine, so I'm probably going to give that a 4 as well. However, I do still like the title. I think it has like a good mouth feel. It kind of rolls off the tongue. Exile on Main Street. So I'm going to give the title a 6. I'm going to give the title a 6. It feels good to say at least. So that's about the best thing I can say about it.
All right, well, we're moving into top tracks here. Jonah, what you got for your top tracks?
All right, so it was actually not that difficult to come up with a top 3 because there were only a few that I like legitimately liked to an extent. The rest were very whatever to no thank you. So number 3, I've got Rip This Joint. The sax solo sounds pretty fire on that one. It's a good upbeat song. I can imagine, people dancing to the song back in the day. I'm not much of a dancer myself, but it's got that feel to it. So I respect it for that. My number 2, I've got Tumbling Dice. Again, it's just kind of a good, an actual song. It feels like a pretty good song. And then my number 1, is Loving Cup. You touched on it at the beginning, Josh, in your overview, but I can just picture myself sitting around with some friends, having some drinks, feeling good, and that's kind of what this song evokes for me. So for that, it ended up being my number 1. I enjoyed that song.
What did Jason have?
So for Jason, he's got his top 3: Loving Cup, number 2, Tumbling Dice, and number 1, Rocks Off.
No, opener, right?
Yeah, that's the opener. Like, I imagine his first listen through, probably of him hearing that song first, probably painted a little bit more positive of a picture. So maybe that's why it stuck. He didn't give details, but I'm just kind of guessing at that.
All right, I'm gonna go next. Josh had this on his cutting room floor. Since we're doing top 3, I'm gonna go with that as well. I went with number 3, Shine a Light. I do like that song. It comes at the tail end of the album, like second to last track. It's a soulful. You got the gospel organs. Some heartfelt lyrics. I think it's a little bit repetitive or whatever, but it's a good little track. Number 2, Rocks Off, the opener. I thought that was that. Jason, you nailed it, or not Jason, Jonah with Jason's notes or perceived notes.
Yeah,
is that gave me a thought that maybe this record was going to be good. I was fooled, but I thought that opener was strong. And a song that so far has been on everyone's top is Tumbling Dice is my number 1. I just like how it's like, kind of laid back. I think it's like, it's the best of all of the songs that sound the same, which is like the blues kind of rock sound. There's like 6 of them that all sound the same, and I think that's like the best one of those.
Well, Dave, as usual, you're wrong, because the best song that sounds the same you didn't even name on your list, but it's on everybody else's list. But that's all right. We'll get there. Listen, I have an honorable mention. Okay. I just wanted to take a second to touch on this song, "Torn and Frayed." One of the kind of very minor different sounding songs on this one, which is a little scaled back, a little more acoustic. So I just kind of like this track. I thought it was cool. Number 3 for me, Casino Boogie. Just kind of has a cool little feel to it. It's got a little swing. I like the vibe. Number 2, Dave, this is where you're wrong. Loving Cup absolutely should have been on your list. It is probably the best of the generic sounding songs of all these. But number 1 for me, surprised nobody else had this anywhere near their list, was Happy. I like this song. I like the vibe. Just feels like a good little song.
It didn't feel right putting that song in my top when this record didn't accomplish that.
Make you happy?
Yeah.
Fair enough. So if you're still here and you've watched our show at all ever, you know that in this moment we like to cut these albums down to 8 songs. We know that the best metal records of all time all have 8 tracks, and so this is where we like to try and cut down the fat and get down to 8. Listen, I don't think anybody wants to watch us cut 10 songs off of this record.
No.
So I think we all approach this a little differently. I'm just going to give you 4 songs that I thought were way below average. These are 4 songs that, like, the worst of the worst when it comes to this record for me. And number 1, by a mile, if I was making a list of the 100 worst songs I've ever heard, I don't know if it would be on that list, but it might be close. Sweet Black Angel.
Yeah.
Yikes. I
Talk
just
about
don't need
aging well.
Yeah, I just don't need the Rolling Stones with some didgeridoo going on in the background, all right? Let It Loose is another one that I wasn't a big fan of. Dave, you mentioned earlier Shine a Light. Yeah, that's one that I would cut. And you are correct. That is the second to last song. You know how I know that? Because I also have the last song on here, Soul Survivor, which is always the biggest sign of a bad record or a record that is not well liked is if the last song gets cut, it's a no from me, dog. Dave, what do you got going
on? I got some different tracks. In no particular order of worst, because I don't rate these. I got Turd on the Run. I don't like that song. The name says it all.
Dude, great song title, though. Come on.
Yeah. Casino Boogie. Wasn't feeling that song. I just want to see his face.
I'm not feeling this show anymore.
I just want to see his face. I just want to see a different album. And Stop Breaking Down. I just wasn't feeling that. There's also Shake Your Hips was terrible.
Dave's going to go all 10 here.
Right.
Torn and Frayed, not good.
What?
Yeah, I didn't like that song. I don't like Sweet Black Angel either. That song sucks. Yeah, that's almost 10 of them. But
yeah,
whatever. Yeah. I could keep going, but I don't.
Go, Jonah. Go.
So, I mean, Sweet Black Angel is easily the song I liked the least. Reading into it a bit more, I understand the meaning behind it and kind of what they were going for. It didn't do anything for me, and it made me cringe a bit. I just want to see his face. I couldn't get into that track at all. It was kind of a snooze for me. Sweet Virginia. I was very meh on this song. I mean,
it's a good song.
It's okay, but something about it just couldn't. I didn't like it. And then apart from that, basically every other song that's not in my top 8 is somewhere between like a 5 and a 6 in terms of individual song scores. So I'm just kind of gonna lump them all together. I wasn't a huge fan of the last 3 tracks either. Turd on the Run, yeah, not a huge fan. Shake Your Hips, not a huge fan. Torn and Frayed, not a huge fan. Casino Boogie, I do have in the same category as the ones I just mentioned, but it is a step up from those, I think. It's by the time you get to the like halfway point of the album anyway, you're just kind of like, whatever, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one who didn't follow the rules and put all 10. I got it. Okay. What did Jason have here?
So Jason didn't have cuts. He just had a top 6. So basically he said his top 6 is his top tolerable tracks, and he considers every other song a skipper. So I'm going to give you his top 6. I already told you Rocks Off was number 1, Tumbling Dice was number 2, Loving Cup was number 3. He's got Let It Loose at number 4, All Down the Line at 5, and Shine a Light at 6. He says every other song on the album is a skipper.
Fair enough. All right. Well, hey, if you've made it this far, we appreciate that. This is where I like to give our score for the record. Just to give you some context for how we score these. For a lot of folks out there, a 7 would be like an average score. Well, for us, that's a 5. So if an album score is something 4.9 and below, that's various levels of we would not recommend that record. 5 and above, various levels of we would recommend that. And anything 9 to 10 is an all-time classic record.
Don't worry, you won't have to hear about that for this record.
Yeah. As per the usual, we're going to try to line this up to go with the lowest first. But yeah, I mean, I think it's Dave, but from there, I have no idea where to go. Okay, you've seen it, so I'll take your hint here. Let's go with Jason first.
Okay, so Jason says, I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. I wouldn't recommend any of the tracks. I'm being very generous. He gives it a 4.6.
You should have picked me.
Yeah, that's too high. For what I know, Dave is gonna go. What do you got, Dave?
So look, I've been dogging this record the whole time, but I don't think my score is gonna quite reflect what that is. Jonah, you said Jason's at 4.6, right?
Yeah,
I'm just typing it in here. So yeah, I won't beat around the bush too much. I'm at a 4.2. And it's only getting a 4, similar to where Jason said he's being generous. I ultimately, as many criticisms as I have for the record, I'm trying not to let those biases seep into my score too much, because I know that at the end of the day, this record's just not for me. Like, the Stones are just not for me, and, but I will never listen to this record ever again. Unless I'm forced to at gunpoint.
Yeah, for me, I'll go next. So I looked at my score for Let It Bleed before this, and I scored Let It Bleed higher than what I scored this initially, and I think I'm going to let it stay that way. Even though I do think the whole of this record is stronger than what's on Let It Bleed, I think I will let It Bleed keep a higher score because it is shorter and more palatable. I'm going to go straight up here with a 5. Right in the middle. I mean, look, I think to say you would never listen to this album again unless you were like held a gun to your head, I think that's a bit much.
I'm being dramatic,
there's nothing.
yes, for sure.
I know there's nothing like truly egregious on this record necessarily, right? But it's just not for us. So I would go to 5. Somebody out there probably likes it. We don't. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Jonah.
Yeah, I'm going to share a lot of the same sentiments as you, Josh. I did give the previous one a higher score as well, and I think it was more deserved than this one was. It sucks that I've had kind of nothing but criticism to say, but I do recognize, at the very least, the importance of this album and what it means. Listening to it from start to finish was not as enjoyable as an experience as I think it could have been if it were shorter, maybe a little bit more variety, and some more solid song structure. But that said, I'm probably going to be a little generous as well with my score, but I did, because of the way I score my songs individually, I ended up at a 5.2.
All right. I thought you were going to beat me by more than that.
All right. So, unsurprisingly, this record gets a non-recommend. It's a 4.75, which is a D tier, which basically, for us, functionally means it's not for us. For reference, we gave our previous rock album that we reviewed on this channel a 3.88, which was the Clash's London Calling. We were infinitely more critical of that record as a group.
That album is absolutely unlistenable. This record is, I mean, it might as well be Queen's Night at the Opera compared to that.
One thing I will say about this list so far, and I have the benefit of seeing all the scores, together, is this has been a very polarizing list. The albums tend to either get in the 4s or 5s or 8+. There's no 6s, there's no 7s. So it's either we generally didn't like it or we love it. So it's odd. I mean, that's why we do this. There's definitely something to learn from that. I would say just off rip, I think the key thing that holds us back from liking records is when they're not guitar driven.
Yeah.
Or specifically riff driven seems to be where we struggle the most.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Metalheads journey, so we all have a pretty deep appreciation for riffs, I feel like.
Yeah. Because I changed it to riffs because, like, Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland, obviously very guitar driven, but not very riff driven.
Yeah.
And we, spoiler, weren't a huge fan of that record as a whole.
But man, look, we've been on a bit of a skid here for the last couple of records. I mean, we liked the Bowie record, so we had the Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. That got a good score from us. And then we had London Calling, Exile on Main Street. But we're coming back in a year's time here with the next one on the rock list, which the next one's going to be Hotel California from the Eagles.
So I will say, so far the pattern has been we've liked 3 records, we didn't like 3, then we liked 3, and then we didn't like 3, and so far we've gotten 2 that we didn't like. So Hotel California has something going against it right now.
I'll tell you right now, this album is getting a minimum of a 9 from me. Like I'll spoil that. I love the Eagles, so there's no way this album gets less than a 9 from me. But hey, we'll get to that on another day and another time, far, far away. Probably in the real time of Star Wars, whenever that comes around.
Right.
That'll be the next time you see another video from us. But hey, in the meantime, hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like, hit the subscribe. We're putting out metal content. We got metal reactions, metal reviews, metal brackets, and metal time machines, and all kinds of other cool stuff. I don't even remember the outro. It's been so long. In the meantime, live long and prosper.
Take it easy, everybody.
Star Wars actually takes place in the past.
Peace.